When the first Ukrainian pilots strapped into Western-built F-16 Fighting Falcons, a new phase of the war began, one that could reshape not only the battlefield, but the entire security architecture of Europe. For Russia, this was a red line. For NATO, a calculated gamble. And for Ukraine, a lifeline. But is the F-16 truly the game-changer Kiev hopes for, or could it pull the West deeper into a confrontation it desperately wants to avoid? This is where politics, technology, and geopolitics collide. Ukraine's F-16s, game changer or NATO risk? How could F-16s impact the war? One of the top reasons Ukraine wants the F-16 so badly is because since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Ukraine has relied heavily on its aging fleet of Soviet-era jets like the MiG-29 and Su-27. These aircraft are technologically outdated, vulnerable to Russian long-range defenses, and limited in modern weapons integration. Ukraine's Air Force has done remarkably well by flying low-altitude nap-of-the-earth missions, but the truth is blunt. Its jets cannot compete with Russia's Su-35s, S-400 systems, or electronic warfare network. The F-16 represents everything Ukraine lacks: AIM-120 AMRAAM, precision-guided bombs, JDAM and SDB, NATO standard sensors and radars, a massive global support infrastructure. If used effectively, these jets could make Russian positions, supply hubs, and even warships far less secure. What about the F-16's real strength, the weapons it can bring? Many people think the F-16 itself is the game changer, but the truth is more nuanced. The real power lies not in the jet, but in what the jet can carry. Weapons that shift the balance. AIM-120 AMRAAM, medium-range missile capable of engaging Russian jets beyond visual range. JDAM and JDAM-ER, 70 to 80 kilometer precision strikes on ammunition depots and command posts. HARM anti-radar missiles, potential to degrade Russian air defense radars. Storm Shadow and Scalp, if allowed. Deep strike capability up to 250 kilometers. If Ukraine receives even a fraction of these weapon types, Russia's rear areas could become extremely vulnerable. What Russia fears most? Russia isn't concerned about the F-16 as a platform. It has fought against them before across the Middle East. What Moscow alarms is the combination of Western weapons, NATO.
5. How Russia plans to counter Ukraine's F-16s. Moscow has already publicly outlined its strategy. Red. Destroy the jets on the ground. Russian missile strikes will target runways, shelters, and maintenance hubs, just as it did with Storm Shadow launch platforms. Red. Deploy more A-50 AWACS aircraft. These will track Ukrainian jets the moment they take off. Red. Increased fighter patrols. Su-35 and Su-30SM jets will wait at long range with R-37M missiles that outrange AMRAAM. Red. Electronic warfare. Russia's Krasuha and other EW systems can disrupt GPS signals used by JDAM bombs. Russia's goal is not just to destroy F-16s, it's to discourage NATO from sending more. 6. NATO's nightmare scenario. Whether NATO likes it or not, the F-16 connects them directly to the battlefield. Warning: Scenario 1. A NATO-made missile hits a Russian target inside Russia. Even if Ukraine launches it, Moscow may blame NATO and escalate. Warning: Scenario 2. a NATO instructor or technician is killed during a Russian strike. This could trigger political and military retaliation. Warning, Scenario 3. A Ukrainian F-16 shoots down a Russian jet over the Black Sea. This would force NATO to publicly defend or deny its role. The F-16 decision is not merely military, it is deeply geopolitical. 7. Could the F-16 actually change the war? Yes, under certain conditions. If Ukraine integrates NATO intelligence, standoff weapons, aggressive suppression of Russian SAMs, and flexible basing using multiple airfields, the F-16 can reshape the battlefield. But no, if used like Soviet jets. If Ukraine flies them low, avoids deep strikes, and lacks adequate weapons stockpiles, the jets will not achieve their potential. The F-16 is only a game changer if used the NATO way, not the Soviet way. 8. What comes next? The bigger picture. The F-16 is not the end of the story, it's the beginning of a transition. Ukraine has made clear it wants F-18s from Australia, Gripen from Sweden, eventually F-35s. The West is quietly preparing Ukraine to become a fully NATO interoperable air force, whether